users of internet, and welcome to this video where today I will be attempting to build a 1950s sports car. Since I noticed the kind of super hypercar attempt I did went down well for views and everything, I'm going to try and do it for a lower class of vehicle. Now, it isn't going to be the best handling car as such, nor the fastest, but I'm going to try and balance the two in quite a good way. We have all these saloons and stuff. I think we're going to start off with this one. I should be able to get it fairly lightweight. I'm going to put an American engine in. Basically, I'm going to try and do something around the Burnside level. That was a 1953, so you know where I'm coming from. We're not going to do with a unitary. It's going to be a simple body-on-frame car. Nothing really fancy here. No fancier chassis or body. We're going to go... We're going to give it... Should we go give it leaf springs front and rear? Sure. Or maybe not. I don't know. I think it can sit a lot lower if it has... double wishbone on the front, but I'm going to retain the leaf springs on the back, so that's where I'm going with it. We can go with fiberglass, sure, but I'm not going to because it's not really high-end in any sense of the word. The only car of this era that would have used fiberglass that I can think of at least would have been the Corvette. Maybe the odd Lotus used it as well. But it was not a common type of body construction at the time for mass-produced cars. So here we have our inline 4, so it is. What am I doing? I've just realised, you know what? I wanted a American engine, but then I went ahead and I made a inline 4. That's silly. I believe the Burnside is about 5.3, although I've not checked. And this car just won't fit that. So, what am I supposed to do? That's for front wheel drive, though it won't fit. So if I remove that, I just weren't paying enough attention. Which is usually the case, you know. Especially when you actually need to pay attention. Just give it 52.55. That will round up to 5,300 or 5.3 litres. For rear wheel drive, it's not full at all. It's just full for front wheel drive. I can even go 90 degrees and there's still so much space. We're going to go full cast iron. It is, as I say, it's not sophisticated. It is a very basic way of making power, but it will make power. At least a half decent amount. We'll go with some eco carbs. I think twin eco carbs, maybe quad. Well, it's a sports car and they are very cheap carburetors. So I think I'm going to just take that to the next level. And a performance intake. But they are still going to be eco carburetors. I'm not going to go crazy and put 2-barrel carburetors on it and everything. Just to try and get as much air through it as I can. I will, if the difference is very small, I will go back to twin carburetors. But I'm, for now, trying to see just what I can get away with quad carburetors. I can go with low quality, which is presumably unleaded. I don't know if that's the best fuel or the worst, to be honest. I believe at this point in time, regular leaded would be the best fuel available for, like, basicness. I don't know. I can't even put words together in my mind. But we can go with a dual exhaust, short cast exit. Keep all this as simple as I possibly can. 2 baffled mufflers. and let's see how it sounds. Apparently it doesn't sound, it just brakes. We can rev it to 6300 though, which is nice. Nice to have that bit of a slightly higher red line. Again, it depends on what I can do with it. But ultimately, if it won't make power, it won't make power. Still, I need not hesitate. There we go. I found the point eventually. And it's making power. It's making a lot. I might even get 200 horsepower out of this. Or should I actually taper down the camera profile? Get me a bit better economy? Nah. I think what I need to do, need to get about as good as I can without increasing the RPM much. Or actually, I do notice the power curve seems to get better at lower cam profiles. So 192 here. Ah, there we go. That's going to cost us some power, lowering the fuel mixture. It's not necessarily a performance engine, this. I mean, it's before the Mustang and everything came to market, so it's not here to propel stuff to stupid speeds, but it is a way of getting cheap power, regardless of where you might be in the world. Just put one of these in your car and you've got power for a lot less than if you went to, say, Ferrari for an engine. The downside, it weighs 320 kilos. It also doesn't sound that great. I mean, it is a V8, so it's definitely got its own sound, but it's not like... It's not like something that screams sports car. It's just an average family car engine from America, really. I think I could try messing with the carburetors now. We're easily getting the power we need, so I'm not going to need to run the greatest carburetors in the world. It gets 185 like that. What if I go back here? Ooh. That actually dropped quite a bit. Now, do we want the performance intake? It weighs a bit more. But it doesn't really change much. Standard reduces noise more as well. And I think standard will probably be the way to go, but with still quad carburetors. That way we can get a lot of performance and still have a very maintainable car at the end of it all. So, this seems like I'm somewhere solid. I mean, maybe American engines would have generally been smaller even. I could probably make it about 3.6 litres, but where's the fun in that? I mean, I do actually want this to have some sportiness, so sourcing a larger engine for this particular car does make sense. Yeah, we're high revving now. We're over 4,000 RPMs. Now, because the engine is such a heavy thing, I think I might make this an estate. A performance estate, as it will be. I believe they were quite popular in the 1950s as well. Give it a bit of a American, what do you call it there? Inspirational design, flair, trim piece, I don't know. Bring that out. I can't seem to bring the window back though, unfortunately. So, can we bring the whole front end back? No, we can't, but we can bring it down. Well, this is our estate. It's not going to be all-wheel drive, or four-wheel drive as the equivalent is. Mind, I could probably do that. It is body on frame and everything. It would make for an amusing experience, I can say that much. Although, it would also add cost, in a way I don't want to. 4-speed manual, keep it as sporting as possible. Radials, no, we don't want them, we want cross-ply. And you can't do much with cross-ply, even with smaller wheels like this. I think this was a problem I came with before. We aren't putting down quite the same power levels, so I may do better in that respect. And also it's body on frame, so if the ladder does a bit of the wiggling as well to help the suspension out, that may help. We're on drum brakes, wow. I just remembered there's no better brakes, is there? Just drums. You really are limited technologically then. So 175s, they could probably put this power down. It's not necessarily a chance I would want to take. We can do that. Well, I'll say that. We can make smaller wheels still. Bit of tyre off there as I can. There's just huge sidewall and no actual wheel underneath of it. I may want to try a sportier body. It depends. It really does. Rightio. We've got 5 seats, which means more weight at the back over having 4 seats. So I'm going to keep it that way, whether it likes it or not. We'll go with a sport interior, perhaps. Yeah. And a standard AM radio. Because we're not trying to make it particularly premium, just it has to be a nice sporty car. Standard 50 safety. Not that safety matters near as much as it does today. Basic suspension, just what you need, which is probably not good enough, but anyway. It is classified as a muscle car, and I would actually call that fairly accurate. Even though this is from before muscle cars really took off, it's like the birth of muscle. So, yeah, it is a muscle car, I would say. Maybe a bit too much of a muscle car, though. I am still trying to build a sports car out of it. The weight is good. I can say that confidently. 18 kilos. That is what I would want it to weigh, if nothing more. The weight balance as well, 56% front, so worst comes to worst, I can always return to the estate body style and get pretty decent weight balance as a result, but for the time being, I'm thinking I want to mess around with something a bit more sporty, since that, in my mind at least, doesn't work. We can get all these kinds of stuff. That's like an old Cadillac I selected by accident. Yeah, it's gonna be heavier, isn't it? No, 18. No, you've got to be kidding me. When we actually get to the summary. Yeah, something's a bit wrong. Like the engine mustn't fit or whatever. No, the engine fits. It actually fits worse though than the other car. Okay. You know what? It wouldn't be conventional, but maybe we could build a performance SUV. That certainly is something to think about. Because they just didn't have SUVs back then. There is the Mini. Could put a V8 in it and rear-wheel drive, but then why bother? We have this, which I quite like actually. I did experiment with it before with the supercar thing, but if we are looking at what I'm going for now, it's just a bit of brute American force, and it does fit under the bonnet conveniently, a bit of a brute American force combined with a European chassis could work quite well. Depends how low it will go on the ladder frame though, because this is quite a low body and the ladder frame does not suit that type of lowness. Come on. Also, I can't move that back, which is very strange. I can move the roof down, which I guess I'll have to do. Move that back as well. And maybe move the front back if it lets me. No, I can't move the front back, but I can do this. Which, to me, is probably just as good, let's be honest. I'm surprised that that engine is still fitting under here. Oh, just barely. It just barely hides the engine. I'm not sure that is even a safe distance above the bonnet. I mean, above the engine, but still, that's what we're going with, so it will be that way. Do we want 4 gears, or do we want to save a bit of money? Yeah, let's save a bit of money. Go with 3. Muscle. Are you really a muscle car? I thought you were saying 2.8 seconds to 60. That would be ridiculous if it was doing 2.8 to 60 in a 1950s car. It's 1154 kilos, this, apparently. So, quite lightweight. I mean, I have axed a rear set of seats. That won't help with making it heavy, but nonetheless. Can we add width? I think we should have a very wide track width, even if the tyres don't end up being that wide, to hopefully give it some more tractability. Is that the word I'm looking for? I don't know. So 175. I think 185s will maybe be enough. I know there what the Burnside had, though. And the Burnside, well, it's not a bad car, but not what you would call sporting, let's say. So, moving along. I think in the 50s, unitary was very, very early. So, unitary chassis cars existed, but not many of them existed. Weight balance is pretty good considering there's a big lump of cast iron under the bonnet. So, what else is there that we've got to do? I mean, besides sorting the car out, we've got safety. Could add a bit of safety. How about this? Ooh, convertible sport budget. I wouldn't really call it a convertible, but we can add a bit of or reduce a bit of a cost, which everyone must like. I think if I go for muscle, it's probably the best category, to be honest, even though it's not what I was initially targeting. Probably building a weird kind of vintage muscle car from the 50s is probably where this should head. So we've got a basic radio and a premium interior. Under 1200 kilos, very light. How do they react to safety? Yeah. They do like for safety a lot more than they like the interior. We'll go see what the different suspension options do. Sport is, I still wouldn't say low enough. However, maybe it is. How about utility? Nope. Off-road and race. I'm surprised how good it does with race, but then I guess it's just because the tyres are so big. So, I think we're going to switch to a unitary construction, and then we should have what we need. I'm keeping the leaf springs though, and the weight balance is about the same. How is the overall weight? Oh, that is very strange. I didn't expect it to go up. But see, I think it's actually the, what do you call it? No, it isn't. Safety hasn't affected it that much. Still, nonetheless, that's what the market wants to see. And I can't blame them. If it's keeping it low, then it isn't keeping it low. They're curious. Still, maybe it's just low enough as it is. But to me, I think it would be the leaf springs. Now, we could go and add some independent suspension, which I do not want to do. I don't want to make this too expensive to maintain. And if we are actually getting a unitary chassis, I would say why isn't front, McPherson strut available, but it's probably just not been invented yet, to be quite honest. Solid axle coil. I don't see why we should have to go above solid axle coil. We should be able to lower it a bit more on this and turn it into more of a sports car. The front is fully independent though, as you would completely expect. So, there we go. You can actually lower it on this suspension. Maybe I could have on the other as well, but I didn't bother. Also for track width. How could I forget? Solid axle leaf. Is this as low as it will go on leaf springs? So it won't sit lower on leafs than it will on coil, or even at the same height. Leafs will always be higher up. But nonetheless, we do at least have a spring on every corner. Which is better, I guess, if you're a sports car. What would I know? I've never been a sports car. I think if we go 145s, same tyres as the Mini, they are very, very narrow. And unusual, I would say. Very, very few cars used it, even back in the day, on very basic cars like the Ford Anglia. They just didn't use tyres that narrow. This is a sports car and I'm using tyres that narrow on the front because no power is delivered to those wheels, so having narrow tyres should actually help. I may move it up to 155s, but I don't need any wider than 155s on it, and I don't think it would fit within the bodywork that nicely anyway, so I'm fine with that. And I think now I'm at the stage where I can leave it and then make the changes and come back. And I do actually mean it this time when I'm saying I'm probably going to keep this body, because as you saw, I did go through the bodies once before to find one that was a little more relevant. I'm not going to need to do that again. So, here I have the result of much of my work. It is the Corner Cutter V8 185. As you may have figured out by now, the 185 refers to horsepower. I haven't quite added all the fixtures. I figured that wouldn't be a very long process, so I might as well let you see that. I've also changed to a convertible, but it is the same basic body style. Just if we actually find the market here, it is competing in the convertible sport class. And it's kind of a more premium car, sure, but it's not like supercar high level. I think this does very well. I mean, it's on the expensive side, no doubt, but it's still somewhat affordable, and even failing that, muscle premium it does quite well in. So, that's something. It's got 300mm brakes, which are very big as I could fit under these 15-inch wheels, which are under even smaller tyres. I mean, they really fill the wheel arches, let's say. There's not much else I can do, though, because they fill the wheel arches as is, and they just sit there quite neatly, actually. It's kind of like a Shelby Cobra, I think, but from the 50s. It's also kind of like a Jaguar E-Type, because there's no leaf springs or anything on the back here, but it's not advanced, so, you know, it's strange. It's probably the way I would put it. It is more powerful than the Burnside. I think it's quite similar to the 1955 Chevrolet 150 that's in Forza. I think the engine is quite similar to that. I mean, that is a completely different type of car, sure. But I decided that that was a similar enough type of vehicle that would donate its engine, let's say, to the car. It's just a simple naturally aspirated unit. The one change I made that was major here was changing single barrel eco times 4 to single barrel times 2 and changing the intake to standard. Besides that, it's basically the same engine. Oh, also the exhaust. It's single but with a slightly bigger aperture, would you say, to the exhaust, because I figured that may be a little cheaper. 313 kilos, I think is a bit lighter as well than having dual exhaust, so that's good. Good stuff going on there. We've got these chrome wheels I found, which do, when converted to chrome from the other colours, let's say like that, they do look quite good. And we can hopefully use the 4-speed to get the most acceleration. It was just under 12 seconds to 60, but it's now about 9.5 seconds. Not too bad, but there will be much quicker cars in the future. Mind, this isn't a supercar, so it doesn't have to be crazy, it just has to be fast. It says the rear brake force is low, but it's not the front. The front brake force is where I really want it not to be low. And the rear dampers are hard, but I can deal with this stuff. It's all quite minor. Same with the front tyres, it just thinks they're a bit narrow for the load, but they're 175s. I mean, when you are dealing with cross-ply, they're always going to be narrow. The maximum I can go is 185, and that begins making the car oversteer, and I definitely don't want that, because I remember the last 50s car I built in automation had its own disasters relating to that problem, let's say. Or also the braking, but that was causing its own problems. Still, minor issues with wheel spin. I'm going to just leave that and hope it's okay. The interior is sport with a premium AM radio. I was trying to, again, make it a bit more comfortable. It does suffer as far as comfort is concerned. And the body type, for some reason it's saying isn't ideal. Even though it's a convertible, maybe they were expecting it to be a 5-seater convertible or something. But it isn't. It's a sports car, okay? And it's a 2-seater sports car at that. It's not a comfortable car, but it's sporty. The weight balance is good, 53% run, not perfect, but good. And we can, hopefully, thanks to all our torque, move the 14-15 kilos quite well. I mean, it's a heavyweight for the time, a real heavyweight, but it will get going, and I reckon get going at quite some speed once it is kind of round up round the corners. Anyway, enough procrastination now. I do need to add some stuff to it. I think we'll have fuel filler caps. We'll have one on either side, because it'll save having to re-equip this car when it is exported to, say, America or Germany or wherever. Just supposing it's an English car, yeah, re-export it to Germany or America. It saves a lot of redevelopment costs. And we have got just simple fuel filler caps. We're not bothering with any really fancy flush ones. I don't see the point, personally. We can use some scoops, sure. I mean, this doesn't seem conventional for a car from the 50s, but the way I'm going to try and get it to work is hopefully going to work. There we go. Just rotate that to the white level. And like so. It will just rest there. We'll again mirror it as we did with a fuel cap, but for a different reason. This time I want the car to have some chrome there. It is still going to be a premium car, remember, as I said a bit earlier. I think I did at least. Either I said that or I'm being quite forgetful and confusing my thoughts and my actions, which probably makes me a bit of a psychopath, but anyway. Oh dear. Gotta live with my actions. Or my thoughts, or both of them. So that will bring a bit more air into the engine, which is mounted really far back, as you'll see. That's how the weight balance is so good as it is. I would say we could have a bonnet ornament, but I don't think it suits this type of vehicle. We're not building a luxury saloon here. And what do we have? Ooh, we can have an Iron Man's head. That one. I think this is some Guardians of the Galaxy thing. Not it's something I particularly would understand, but, you know, I'm going to just stick that on there anyway. Because, for no other reason than it looks good on the car. You know, it just looks like, I guess, it looks like a UPS logo. If I'm being 100% honest, it does look most like a UPS logo to me. But it also does suit the car. So, you know, I could do worse. I mean, this looks like an Eagle Talon from the rear, which I guess was a type of E-Type. I think it's just because it's black, it kind of reminds me being in this colour. Now, if we find the right super lights, there we go. I'm going to try and get these working. I know these lights are from the 1990s, so they are not designed to fit a hot rod typey sports car, but I'm sure they will work after a bit of tweakery. And also, we do need some chrome around the edge, sure, because all cars were like that at the time. They just all had chrome. It was nice. I say that as if I lived there. But we do need to get rid of the kind of reverse material, because it's not going to work. Wait. Can do that. And add some more. Yeah, either this is lagging or my brain is lagging. It's hard to tell which is which sometimes. Should I be concerned? Probably. Am I concerned? No. I can't seem to change the third light. Or I can change it, but it's lagging. There we are. So I have adjusted the lights to be completely red all around. So if I have those as like my brake lights, and I can add some reversing lights, let's say. What do we have here? I know these are headlights, I'm fully aware of that. But there's no reason they can't also be used as reversing lights. Maybe we could just have them attach, like so. No, I don't want them to attach. I don't find it looks good. Or better still, could have indicators. But I'm not sure I want the indicators right there. So here I have the turn signals as they are now. They look a bit better than I expected. But still, I have to try and get a bit of chrome, I think, to get it to effectively work. Is this? No, that's not going to work. There was one that was like a chrome strip and it would work really well. It's not this. It's almost that, but it isn't. Now, this car of the era it's of, I can very much put bumpers on it and have them work aesthetically. But I don't, in a way I don't want to. I want to keep it much like a race car that's stripped down and simple. At least aesthetically. But then I have put a bumper there and it looks good. It looks like a 90s Toyota Sora kind of good. But it looks good. Actually, maybe I could go... Yeah, I could do this. Which gives me some 50s type fins. I mean, they're not Cadillac fins, but they are definitely of an era, so to speak. They definitely define this as a 50s car, and less so much something from the 90s. Because it is supposed to be from the 50s, but it isn't looking like a 50s car. There we go. That's fairly tidy. Maybe, just maybe, I could... No. Don't really want to change those things round. So that we'll have to do for our fins. Kind of weird turn signals, but nonetheless, I have got some fins. And we can have an indicator in the middle. Not sure why, but my mind says we can have an indicator in the middle and then convert that to the reverse light. Like so. Maybe move that one up, and if we grab those things I was looking for earlier, I can complete it. I think it's here. Yes, I think that's it. So we need to shorten that, and then move these forwards. There we go. So, oh dear, grabbing the wrong bits. Intriguingly, I am still able to do it. Just a different way, a more complicated way of going about it will be what I use. So, I need to rotate that, I think. Well, there we are. Maybe, just maybe, if I do crazy stuff, I could have a reversing badge. Yes. Brilliant. So it's kind of a badge holder and a reversing light. I guess like the Dodge Viper uses. Only the Dodge Viper, it was a braking light. I've kind of cheapened out because I don't have multiple lights. I just have a pair of braking lights and that's it. That's all you get, other than reversing lights and stuff. I think if I do that now, it looks weird. For something from the 50s, it just looks weird. I can't say it's a bad looking vehicle, it just looks very, very strange. But then we have to get some kinds of door handles as well. Perhaps something on the side. But we need door handles and mirrors actually. Well, we probably don't need mirrors being from the 50s, but you know, it is what it is. And I'm deciding we will go with mirrors. Maybe even fender mirrors. Hooray! Fender mirrors are brilliant. And they can be chrome as well. Makes them even better. Chrome fender mirrors. Are there any better styling tweaks you can do to a car? There we are. The front looks a bit plain still, but the rear is actually looking quite distinctive. I mean, the rear, if strange, it definitely has its own style to it. And it actually looks like a supercar, I must say. Although this isn't the supercar, this is the everyday car. Now, I could put the exhaust just down somewhere. I'm not trying to make this fancy though. So it can just sit right below the bumper. And as long as it doesn't get in the way, I'm fine with that. Although you can see it, so it is in the way. I wonder if I could get it working by putting it here. Apparently not. Apparently it just doesn't like having boot-mounted exhaust. Not that I can blame it. There we are. I don't quite want it hanging that low. That should give me decent exhaustage of the engine. If you look there, it kind of goes into one. Then it goes over the rear axle and out again. Still, onto the side again. Door handles, I finally have found them. We can go with what appeared to be an old Datsun handle, maybe. Keep the front chrome and then the back can be body coloured, perhaps? I don't know, though. No, that's just different. I thought it might have been a different part to what I was actually grabbing. We need to flip them the other way. And it looks a little strange still, but then the whole car looks strange, so it's nothing new. I think if we go find the bit of chrome here, I should be able to drag that across and give me a strip of chrome for the side of the vehicle. I don't think I can get this working, so, you know, I probably shouldn't mess with it. I'll just cause a huge mess of the side of the vehicle. Nonetheless, I'll grab the side bumper. I can make usage of this. Just plop that on the front somewhere, wherever it will go. Maybe make it narrower if it needs to be. And that will be... that will be there. So the front end Still, the very clean design that it can be needs messing up, naturally. We can add this slightly curved grille. I mean, it does look more 2000s than it perhaps should. But then, maybe if I just move it into the bumper, I can kind of get rid of that sharp crease line and instead just have a smooth curve, which would be exactly what I'm looking for. Move that up. And we could, yeah, chrome there. Like, no one's going to notice it's just reusing other bits underneath that grille. Or hiding them, I guess, technically, but no one's going to notice that. What they will notice is there's nothing there. So I'll probably want some kind of grille. Maybe this one is a little too flashy though. Right now at least. I can probably fix that. Nope. That's not what I'm looking for though. I actually want to get something with a slight curvature to it. This one, for example. And just mount that down here. Give a bit more air to the engine. Come on, you can do it. Just get that bit bigger and fill the gap. The thing that's good about that grille is, though, it's very, very subtle. It doesn't shout about being there. I mean, you can see it if you try, but it doesn't shout that, hey, I'm a grille, I'm here. Now, to finish off, there is a few lights we need to add onto the front. We need to add headlights. And where are we going to find the perfect headlights for the job? I don't know. I just go on these because I saw them and they were round and they appear to work. Yeah, I did kind of make this a wide body, so that's why it looks a little odd when I make these big. Because they're kind of expanding into the wide body territory as opposed to the original car's territory. But it looks reasonable enough. Now, indicators should be able to find a way to mount these without too much trouble. Just place them right next to the headlights and chrome them. There we go. I think this is a very tidy looking, I would say compact car, but it's not so compact. Also the engine, I forgot to mention, but when I changed to the 2-barrel carburetor, it seemed to fit in a bit better than it did with the not 2-barrel. When I changed to the 2 single-barrel carburetors, it seemed to fit in a bit better than it did with the 4 eco carbs. So, just something I thought was worth mentioning. I guess it might mean lower servicing, if it even counts things that detailed. Wait, so vents. That's where we want to go. I was looking for some kind of vent. This should fill the gap. It's just something to go next to the engine. I mean, the engine you would think would need a lot of cooling, but I don't think it's going to need a crazy amount. As long as there's enough going right at the engine, but looking at the front of this car, it's not hugely aero curved or anything. There's just a big slab, a circular-ish slab there to hit the air head on and draw it into the car. So from that perspective, things aren't going bad for engine cooling. And then I have those little duct things on top to kind of bring air back. Although they might cool the transmission a bit more. Same with these, they don't really do much for the engine. Maybe they will get rid of air. They're less likely to bring air into the engine. But, so we have our design. I think I could have done a lot worse, especially from the front. I think it looks quite good. Anyway, it has incredible downforce. I mean, not much downforce, no. But this is actually very, very sorted for downforce. And that is in a car from a time before cars had downforce. So, you know, I can't complain about that, honestly. Now, I may want to add a bit of cooling if I can find that menu. Brake airflow. Just add a bit more here and there. Hopefully make it more reliable. I think it'll go 120 miles per hour, if it doesn't say already. What's the miles per gallon? 11 miles per gallon. I won't lie. I'm impressed by that. So, where are we here? Yeah, so it'll do about 125 miles per hour as the top speed. I'm not displeased by that. For a sports car, putting out this power of this era. I have no complaints with such. Now, the braking, 50.3 meters. I don't know, that seems good if it's similar to what I've read on Forza. It's like ridiculously good, so I'm probably misjudging it somehow. But anyway, what's it saying? Yeah, issues are all quite minor. Let's see just how this does when it tackles the Fuji Go-Go circuit. So, here we have the corner cutter, and as it is, I don't know how to operate the indicators. Sure, well, I do, but with the wheel, not with the mouse or keyboard. But that's all just other stuff that's not really important. So, if I could actually remember how to shift into first gear, that would be convenient. Yeah, the wheel spin is definitely not as bad as the other 50s car I built, although it does get onto the oversteery side more easily than I was expecting it to. It definitely isn't horrendous. Oh dear. Again, I have to take care, but it has grip to it. Whoa! And it looks like I'm doing Formula Drift now. I didn't know we were doing a Let's Play of that. Anyway. Come on. Gently does it as we ease the car around these corners. Seems as long as I'm easing it round the corners though, there's grip in the tyres. And these are only 185s, remember. They are not good for track work, would it? Thank you, sand. I don't know what I would have done without the sand there, because I wasn't braking, although I should have been. You know? This lap has obviously been thrown away. Entirely my fault, but yeah, it wobbles a lot. I'm noticing that. I think it's just the chassis on it isn't that stiff, but then it is a very early unitary car with a convertible roof, so you get the idea. It's never gonna be that stiff. Anyway, we've got to hopefully set a better second lap. 147, it was slow though, but for all the problems it had, could have done worse. I now know to treat this car with respect. I know it can bite me now in a way I didn't know before. That was weird. That was kind of, it bit me, but it didn't. Maybe it wanted to bite me, but it was just on the leash. Come on. Again. Just about discovering those limits. I don't seem to be using more than 2 gears. There's 4 gears that are supposedly available to me, but I only seem to be ever using 2 of them. I'm not going to need this 3rd one up here, although I probably should have actually. Rightio. Bit of drift there. Again, all I can do is really try and learn for the 3rd one. Gently around here. Oddly, I've not spun it yet. I would have thought that would have been something I would do quite early on. And I should have broke there, but I didn't. I just let the hill take the speed out of me, which did work, but it wasn't a chance I should have taken. 3rd gear. Now, coming up here. It feels slow, but then it's clear that this does not have crazy amounts of power like those muscle cars I've built. It's clear to me that I have to treat it with care, but it's not like it's holding some huge secret power. Oh, just slid there under the brakes. Not that the brakes are making it slide at all, the brakes are actually very forgiving. To be entirely honest, I'm forgetting this doesn't have ABS, the brakes are that well sorted. And they're just 300mm front and rear with some adjustment elsewhere to make sure they're putting out enough power to slow this thing. A 133 is pretty good, I have to say. We have to remember though, this is an old vehicle, so we can't go round expecting it to set the same laps as ultra-modern vehicles, but I'm pretty sure this has already beaten that car that was intentionally a supercar from the time. So, we can say that's definitely a positive thing. Oh dear. That's what I mean, it can just buy you if you don't treat it with respect, and I guess at that point I still felt like I was treating it with respect, but maybe I wasn't. Nonetheless, we've got a good lap out of it, even if it wasn't the best lap in the world. We've got a good 2nd lap where I didn't spin. I did just an overall solid 1. So let's see how it compares to the other vehicles. Also, if I just go into free roam now, I'm pretty sure you may have noticed. Come on. Wait, find the right camera mode. Yes. No damage as well. So, it's put up with the abuse of a track job extremely well, I would say. At least for a car of this era, where, you know, you wouldn't typically track it as much as you may a modern vehicle. So, this came, if I remember correctly, exactly between the Bolide Corsair Competizione and the 2400 GT Montgomery. So that is a pretty good score, and it really proves those were 2 high power but fairly uncontrollable vehicles. This, it had its problems, but to drive it was really quite nice, and it proves if you have a car that's nice to drive, power, weight, everything else just fades out. Doesn't really mean a thing, because I'm pretty sure this is heavier and less powerful than both of those vehicles. Not collectively, but both of those vehicles one at a time, and it still manages to come quite alongside them, because it's just got that malleability when you put it round a track in a way that vehicles otherwise sometimes don't have. But with that being said and done, I can only leave it here and say goodbye until another day.